Today I'm going to do a quick finish test on some cherry and cherry plywood. So I'm in the early stages of a cabinet project where I'm going to have some cherry door panels. So I'll have solid cherry and cherry plywood together. And I'm pretty sure I'm just going to use the Oil-Modified Polyurethane that I really like. But it's always a good idea to do a finish test before you're starting a project. See how the wood looks together, and I thought it would be interesting to try. So I've divided this piece of cherry plywood up. I've got solid cherry battens here on top of this cherry plywood. This is 1/2-inch cherry plywood here. And let me see, how am I going to do this? I'm going to do one section with just the polyurethane. I'm going to do one section where I'm going to do some shellac followed by polyurethane. Then I'm going to have another section. I'm going to try this pre-stained wood conditioner. Some people really worry about blotchiness in cherry. It's a subtle thing. It's never really bothered me that much. This is supposed to help prevent that, and I had the can, so I'll do some pre-stained conditioner with polyurethane, and then I think I might try one where I'll try some shellac together, the shellac for the color. I don't know. I've got 5 sections here, and I don't even know if I have 5 tests, but we'll work on it. So I sanded this to 220, both the battens and the plywood, and we will get going with applying some finish. Of course, I want to be sure and label things, so I'm going to draw an arrow, and this is going to be poly only. The next section is going to be shellac plus poly, and so on. Okay, first step is this water-based pre-stain conditioner. Oh, it's milky white. Doesn't look like I really even need to stir it much. Didn't say anything about it, but I just stir automatically. And this is water-based. It says put it on, wait 5 minutes, wipe it off, wait another 15, and you're ready to go. So, if I was doing a whole lot, I would use a brush, but I'm just doing a little bit here. So these two have got the conditioner in it. So just wipe it in there. I love cherry. It's probably my favorite domestic wood. I like the way it looks. I like how it changes with time as it matures. It's a nice wood to work with. It just seems to cut and chisel and all that nicely. Doesn't splinter. And okay, that is that. I shall give it 5 minutes and wipe off the excess, and then we will take 15 minutes, and then we'll move on with the shellac. Okay, it's been a bit more than 15 minutes, so the conditioner is all dry, and actually we need to sand that. I can feel that it's raised the grain. Let me get a bit of sandpaper. That was in the instructions, I just was forgetting. Just there we go. Brush that away. So, as I was about to say, I'm going to put on some shellac. Zinsser, this is from Rust-Oleum. If you go looking for this in the store, you got to make sure it is the 100% wax-free. That's the fine print down below. I picked this up over the border in Michigan. You Americans have it so easy there. You can just walk into most any big box store and you can find cans of Dewaxed Shellac. Here in Canada, yeah, you can get it, but all the big box stores that I check do not carry it. Well, they carry shellac, and I've been burned by that because I picked it up and I take it home and it's like, no, that's waxed shellac. I do not want waxed. You want the dewaxed. And let me get a stir stick. And yeah, somebody's going to shout out that, oh, I found it in such and such a store. And yeah, I understand that some of the smaller chains like Home Hardware might carry shellac, or a specialty paint shop. I've seen aerosol, like rattle can, spray can shellac. I've seen that in some paint stores, and you can special order it, of course. But all of those are a pain, and it's really nice that, you know, when I happen to be in Port Huron in Michigan, I can just pop into Menards and pick up a can of shellac. And besides, you know, if you special order it, a lot of them, they want you to get like 2 gallons at a time. And I only want 1 quart, and that will last me, you know, months as a hobbyist. I'm not doing it. So not this one, then this one again. Okay. I'm going to keep my sample straight. Interesting. So far, the shellac by itself looks darker than the shellac on top of conditioner. Isn't that funny? Well, you know, the conditioner is a bit of a barrier. That's what it's doing there. So, oops, don't want that. And there we go. Now it's waiting game again. Allow it to dry 45 minutes, sand with 120 or finer, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, an hour. I'm gonna wait an hour. Yeah. And so I will go have supper, and then we will come back. So there we go. Oops, a little bit in the corners there. Was a really nice piece of plywood that I found. Look at that lovely straight grain. I'm a fan of straight grain. Some people like the wild stuff. And on the back, you can see the cathedrals that some people like. This, I'm wondering if the back was more rotary and the front was straight cut. I did not get details from the guy when I bought it. I just went in and picked it up. Okay, there we go. All right, it's been an hour later, and that feels good. This one, interestingly enough, this one needs to be sanded because the grain is clearly raised some more. Curious. This is some 220 grit paper that I'm just lightly going over it. Yeah. Barely any pressure. There we go. Smooth as glass. A little bit there. Okay. Now on to the poly. And once again, I need a stir stick. I've used this in many of my videos. This is Minwax, not sponsoring me. I wish they would. Anyways, this is oil-modified polyurethane. So this gives a little bit of the color that you get from like an oil finish, but it is still a water finish. And come on, let's get this top open. So this has got a bit of the milky look that you get from a water-based, but it's got a slight brown tone to it. I use these foam brushes. I know some people hate them. I've been using them for like 10 or 15 years, so I know how to use them, and they work well, and they are cheap and easy to replace. Dip, let it drip, and lay it in there. So here's the bare wood with 1 coat of poly. And then here is shellac. 1 coat of shellac only. Let me just go back. One light touch. And then this third section is conditioner, wood conditioner, pre-stain conditioner, water-based. That's also Minwax. Yeah, it's talking on top of myself. So far, I like this one and this one. They look pretty equivalent, in which case, why would I bother with shellac? I would just go straight to the oil-modified poly and save a step. So here in this last one, this is the pre-stain conditioner, followed by shellac, followed by polyurethane. Oil-modified water-based polyurethane. And I was going to put more poly in the last one, but I think I'll just leave that empty and we can just sort of compare bare wood. And that's one coat. 2 hours. It is now 6:15, so 8:15 I can come back and do another coat. Okay, it's been a couple hours, so let's get on with the second coat and get this test finished up. It's interesting, as I touch them, they are not all the same. Third panel is the roughest. That's the one that is conditioner with polyurethane. The two that have the shellac are the smoothest. The one that is shellac and poly alone is, you know, I almost don't need to sand it. But they're all going to get a little sanding and then we can move on. Really, I don't know why I'm sanding it this much. I'm mostly concerned with looks here. I'm not really... The texture is a different matter. For the purposes of this test, I'm just going to do a second coat because anything after that is just providing more strength. It's not going to provide anything else at that point. In fact, I'm not even sure if I really need the second coat, but I'm doing it anyways because I'm in charge here and you're not. I'm going to put this second coat on. I'm probably going to skip through the video at this point. I'll let this dry overnight. It'll be dry in a couple hours, but I'll let it dry thoroughly and we will come back tomorrow evening and we will do the glamour shots and take the close-ups and give the final verdict on all of this. So here we are 24 hours later. And everything's dry, so it's decision time. Let's take a look at our results. And it's going to be tough because the differences are all very subtle, so it's not going to be that easy to see it on camera, but let's bring the camera in closer and we'll talk about them. So over on this side, we have the two sections where we put the pre-stain conditioner on first. Here we had pre-stain conditioner followed by polyurethane. Here we had pre-stain conditioner followed by shellac and then polyurethane. They look fine, but if I compare them to these two, I'd say they look a little flatter, a little more dull. Here there is, to me, a richer, deeper color. So right away, I'm saying, for my purposes, the pre-stain conditioner is not useful. I don't want to use it. So then over on this side, we have the one where it's strictly polyurethane, the oil-modified polyurethane, and then in this section it was shellac followed by polyurethane. They both look quite well. The solid cherry as well as the cherry plywood, they both look really nice. If I had to choose, and I do have to choose, I think the shellac and poly looks just a little bit better, a little bit richer, but then only a little bit. And you know, I've worked with cherry for like 15-20 years. I know that cherry changes with time, darkens, becomes more rich. So is it worth the extra work? And that really depends on what you're doing. If I was just doing a small project, I might say, you know what, I'm going to do the shellac first, followed by the poly. But I'm doing a fairly big project. That's what I'm planning on. A lot of cabinet doors. So knowing that the cherry, you know, if I wait a year, it'll probably catch up. What I'm deciding for my own project is I'm just going to go just with the polyurethane. However, for purposes of the video, I'd say, in all honesty, I thought the shellac before the poly looked the best, gave it the most rich cherry look. So I would have to call that the winner in terms of overall looks, but in terms of practicality and in terms of my project, just polyurethane by itself is the winner. And so that's it. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If I've earned it, please hit a subscribe button, tell your friends about it, and check out some of the other videos, and we'll see you next time.